right, buddy. Why don't you go ahead, throw yourself on mute, do the little dance. There you go. You know, this is the first time in like 2 months we've done 2 shows back to back. We're not skipping a week this time. It's kind of nice. It's kind of cool. Just throwing that out there. All right, that's our 30 seconds. Let's get this show on the road.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Knights of Deathbridge proudly brings to you Warcraft Nightly News with your hosts, Darrick Scott and Poke Soul. Good evening and welcome to Warcraft Nightly News, the only vodcast that, didn't actually fill their Twitter feed with election results or anything like that. I'm your host, Darrick Scott. With me is the man, the myth, the legend, and one of the few times we're actually going to be able to do this show without a wall being erected between Canada and the U.S., Poke Soul. So, Poke, why don't you bring yourself off mute? How are you doing?
I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know, after this wonderful election, the sun still came up, and
the day
we
started
still,
again.
Yeah, we still had oxygen for everyone to breathe, and it wasn't the end of the world like a lot of people thought it would be. And not just in the direction of Trump either. Like, I know the Trump supporters thought if Hillary won, the same thing would happen the next day. So that's where I've found my middle ground in all this, is knowing that no matter what, Facebook would look exactly the same. It would just be the opposite group of people saying the terrible things that are being said now.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you gonna do, right?
I'm going to stay away from this because I know it's a really heated topic in the US.
And you really don't care because you don't even.
Oh no. We could have an entire debate about why this is not good for the entire rest of the world. Whether you're a Trump supporter or not. This is gonna have major ramifications everywhere.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that it would have went any differently the other way. I hear some terrible things being said about people being uneducated, and again, it's not one direction; it's both. Like,
I just gotta ask, like, are you at least in a place where there's not like freaking million man protests wandering up and down Main Street?
There are no protests in our area, thank God. We are still a small enough city that there's not crazy stuff like that going on.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah, I mean it's whatever.
Yeah.
We're America. We'll make it through this one way or another, whether we're great again or not.
So the reason why I actually kind of started this the way that I did was because the guy that I believe that could make WoW great again, Ion Hazzikostas, he.
Please do not lump those two men in the same category.
That
was the first time you've ever done a segue, and it wasn't terribly shitty. That's fantastic.
Ion Hazzikostas this week, threw a couple of major bones towards World of Warcraft. I thought we were gonna get like what we normally do, this hangover of info coming out of BlizzCon, and so there's generally about a 2 to 3 week gap before we get any more news, but Mr. Hazzikostas sat down and was like, no, I'm a fighting champ. I'm throwing this down. And I was just like, holy crap. I was not expecting it. I totally wasn't.
I know that we've been a huge supporter of him and everything all along the way, and I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but again, like the transparency under this leadership is fantastic. Like, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is what we want to do, and this is why we want to do it. And
yeah,
just over and over and over again. Like and just keep it up. Like, if I can say anything to them, please, just like, this is fantastic to be able to sit down. And I know 90% of the player base probably doesn't sit down and read this, but for those of us who do, like, it keeps me from wanting to just take my elemental shaman and throw it off a cliff somewhere. Like,
yeah.
It
well,
really
actually, I
does.
kind of want to see you do that, anyways. Not because of the fact that that I think you should hurt yourself or anything like that. But I think it would be just kind of funny to go for you to like scream, "Crap! I'm an elemental shaman."
I'm gonna make a video of that of me just.
Yeah. just as you're about to hit, make sure you summon your totems and stuff. Like, just, anyways, no, like, okay. So before we actually dive totally into what's being said and the changes that are still forthcoming, the thing that I really need to kind of hammer home here is the fact that this is something that is, well, unheard of. Most of the time when we get these Q&As and stuff like that, there's a lot of gray area. I think is the best way to put it. A lot of the WoW supporters left because of the fact that it seemed like there was a lot of this double talk. Flight will be coming, flight won't be coming, flight will be coming, flight will never happen again, flight and the whole 9 yards. But this new administration, and I'm going to be using a lot of words like administration and passing of torches and stuff like that, because I feel that the American public might understand this a little bit better right now.
It's only appropriate right now.
Yeah, it's this is the perfect time to drop those. The Civil War of Warlords of Draenor is now officially done. There was a lot of talk or non-talk back in Warlords of Draenor about what was going to happen, how everything was going to shape up. This new administration seems to be not deleting emails, and really paying attention to what we're actually what the player base is wanting. And it's like they went through middle of the Eastern Kingdoms and listened to what we were wanting and what we were saying, and that was, we wanted more transparency from our leaders. And I am laying this on so thick, and it is absolutely glorious.
I mean, I was gonna say that they were really like taking this expansion and just grabbing it by the reins and moving forward with it. But you know, like it's. I don't want everyone to feel like we're just praising Ion Hazzikostas again, because I feel like the last several episodes we've talked about stuff has been that. So
I just face palmed you on that one. So Mr. Hazzikostas once again, spectacular. Love this transparency. Love the idea that you're as forthcoming with the info as you possibly can. I know that you can't say everything and stuff like that. I mean, legitimately,
it's dangerous for them to say everything. We've talked about that in the past too.
Yeah.
Sometimes they overpromise and underdeliver, and I don't feel like Ion has done that.
No.
You know, like he's been very I don't know, detailed with why they're wanting to do what they're wanting to do, and if something gets scrapped, he says this is why. Like there's been reasons, and in the past it's been, we promise. Oh wait, we're not going to do that.
You.
why are you not going to do that? Well, we really never meant to do that. We were just kind of saying it.
Yeah, yeah,
What?
and you stand in the middle of Iron Forge, or you stand in the middle of Stormwind when you're finding out that, all of a sudden player housing is gone, or flight, it'll never come back, and you look around to see if Ashton Kutcher is going to run out and go, "You've been punked." Now we're into this whole great thing, and okay, I think it's time to just go through some things. First, the legendary debacle. Okay.
I know we haven't really talked about this yet either, and I'm going to
Yeah.
be interested to see how you feel about what they're saying with this. So,
Well,
um,
I'm gonna let you start this. I'm gonna let you start this one off because I'm still very opinionated when it comes to legendaries and stuff like that. So why don't you go right on ahead? They're going to on Tuesday, in 2 days from now, they're upping the item level by 15 points. So they're
yes.
gonna be a 9-10. Go.
Okay, so first things first, I've tried to do a little bit of research in this, and I haven't seen much of anything. When that upgrade happens, that's going to be instantaneous for all. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, because when they do the next upgrade in 7.2, it's going to be a situation where you have to go and do something to upgrade it. Is that also correct from what you're understanding?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure of it because I read several different things and it was very confusing as to which way they exactly wanted to go with that. But okay, so first of all, with that being said, the fact that you have to go out and upgrade it, like the fact that it's going up now, okay, I get it. They want the legendaries to feel even more important. Um, and I get that and I like that, but what I don't like about that is the fact that they are so imbalanced. Yes, I understand that they said if you made them all equal, and there's currently no plan to make them all equal, and there never will be a plan to make them all equal, because if they were all equal, it would not feel like you were trying to get a certain one, and I get that. But what I don't get is I've already got two legendaries. The two legendaries I have are probably the two worst legendaries for my class. I, in a heartbeat, would trade both of those legendaries and their stats for the legendary, not even the best legendary for my class, like the second or third legendary for my class. Um, and a lot of that is because, one, it's rings, so there's no intellect on my ring. And that, like, intellect is a huge thing for my class, and they've even said they want the main stat to be what your class is looking for. They don't want a secondary stat to be better than a main stat. So that kills me that legendaries are even things like rings, and I almost feel like we shouldn't have legendary rings if that's going to be the case. Now, with them upgrading it, again, I see why. I feel like 910 is extreme, but at the same time, in order for a legendary to be a legendary, it has to be more powerful. Um, so I like that. Now, on the flip side, I like the idea of the legendaries being more powerful because they have an extra ability on them and not necessarily based off their item level. So I thought 695 was perfectly fine. Um, they did say, however, though, that they don't ever want you to feel like you're equipping an item that increases your or decreases your throughput, but allows you to have more utility. And I absolutely 100% get that. And I'm not trying to disagree with that either. But sometimes utility increases your throughput, just like we talk about in raids all the time. Dead DPS aren't DPSing. Dead tanks
True.
aren't tanking. Dead healers aren't healing. So sometimes you have to make that choice to have that item that is either going to increase your damage or is going to allow you to have more utility and keep people alive. Um, as far as the upgrade goes, I get why they're doing it. It is the legendaries do need to feel legendary, and like you were there when I got a 690 headpiece, and that 690 headpiece is only 5 points behind a legendary, and
You
now
mean
that we've
Yeah, I'm gonna clarify something here. When Poke says 690,
oh,
he
I'm
really
sorry,
means he
yes,
really means
890,
890.
890,
But
yes,
after that
890.
election, it doesn't really
Yeah, I
matter.
mean,
Uh, you know,
we set America back
yeah,
200
the
years. We might as well
population.
set back item level too. So
The popular vote versus the electoral vote doesn't really matter. It's all about the electoral vote, and popular belief says that his helmet should be 890, but really it's only a 690,
I mean
and that's
that's
all he
just how
needs to
that's
actually
just
be
how
able to
I
raid.
roll. Like I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
run around with 690 gear, just Uh, yes, but an 890, like I got an 890 headpiece, which yes is extremely rare at this point, and I like the fact that I got that out of a regular raid blew my mind. Um, but it's like it's happening. Like people are getting 690s, and if the legendaries are only or 890s, Jesus Christ, uh, people are getting 890s, and if the legendaries are only 5 points more than that, they don't feel as legendary, especially with it being things like rings that don't give you your main stat. Um, it's one of those things. Personal opinion, since both of my legendaries have been rings, it's kind of disheartening to look at that and realize I'm not getting the extra intellect that I would be getting if I had anything but rings.
Cool. Okay.
So
So
how do you feel about the fact that they're increasing the legendaries and multiple times? Which I mean, I kind of saw this coming. I figured they would.
well, I reached into my pocket and I couldn't find what I was looking for, so I reached into my other pocket. And apparently I have no fucks to give. Here's why.
I thought you were reaching into your pocket to look for lint, and you were about to say
uh,
that legendaries are just like
yeah,
lint.
like, okay, so your entire conversation totally made that worthwhile for me. 910 doesn't mean shit. Okay, I get that they're increasing the stats so that they make the legendaries feel more legendary, but we're in the first goddamn tier of this raid. Okay, we're still in the very first tier, and they're having to balance off the legendaries. That 99% of the time, we've never had a goddamn legendary this early on in an expansion. And I have to say it, it is ridiculous that that you and other people are having to complain about the fact that they have multiple legendaries and they're not as useful as some of the gear that is coming out of a goddamn raid or a heroic dungeon or a world quest. This is the problem that was created when they dropped the legendaries. And then, for whatever reason, they made legendaries even easier to get, to the point where they're just expected.
Now, see, like
You
well, yeah,
can
and
get a legendary by picking a fucking herb at
oh,
this point.
and they said that they did not increase legendary drop rate, but they
That is
increased legendary
complete
drop rate.
bullshit.
Like they totally had to have. I mean, had to have, because we saw what, geez, upwards of 20 legendaries drop in 1 week in our guild. Like
yes,
it was ridiculous.
yes. Now, I kid you not, and Polly Mixon, who we had back on episode 2, or 200, I guess.
Yeah.
She has now got her third legendary. Now, I kind of wanted to have her on the show, but then I thought, no, this is way better for me to go ahead and have this conversation. Because of the fact that it is absolutely ludicrous that she is upset at the fact that she's got her fucking 3 lowest legendaries. Okay? Now, let's go back an expansion. Let's go back 2 expansions. cloaks dropping. You actually had to work for them. Now you can pick a fucking herb and get a legendary. You do an emissary quest. It takes you 10 minutes to do 4 quests. You turn them in, and you are rewarded with a legendary. Artifact
chance
power
for a legendary.
Artifact power is harder to get and harder to grind than it is to get a fucking legendary. So why don't we put a item level of 1100 on it, increase the goddamn stats, because it doesn't matter. They are no longer legendary.
So let me ask you this then. Do you think it would be better if like you were out there and you did an emissary quest and you got an item, and then you had to take that item and do a quest line?
Yes.
And like let's say it's a ring, for instance, and you do a quest line to repower the jewel in the ring, and it becomes like a legendary, and you can use it then.
Yes.
So you feel like there should be some form of work to it. You're not necessarily upset that they're just dropping.
Oh no, I'm livid about that too.
No. I'm just saying, like, you're like, if you would be okay with it being a random drops if there was something involved after the fact.
A little bit better. It would be a little bit better. But if it is a legendary,
I think they like the idea of it being random drops because of that excitement and that want and that, like, oh man, if I do this, like if I do this emissary quest today, I could get a legendary. Oh my god, I got a legendary. I think that's why they went away from the grind.
Let's put this into a totally different spin, okay? It is more exciting to go trick-or-treating because it happens once a year rather than at will and all of the time. 2, people get excited when they get their favorite chocolate bar, or full-size chocolate bar, or that kid that really, really wants a pop or a soda. Okay? When that gets dropped in their bag, they're excited for it. But if you let people trick or treat every freaking day, people wouldn't care. There is nothing exciting behind it. There is nothing legendary behind it. I have to disagree
with you on that.
How many legendaries do you have right now?
I have 2.
Okay. How much longer until you are able to equip your second one?
I had it before I ever got my second legendary.
Oh, okay. It took you 14 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I did it the moment I could, so probably, yeah. So I have a situation for you though. Okay. So I could totally agree with this, except for one thing.
Yeah.
Where I work, I sell blind bags and things of this nature, right?
Right.
I have pointed out to people, I have this keychain that is $5, and it's exactly the same size, made of the exact same material as the keychain you're going to buy in this blind bag for $6.99. And you're willing to pay $2 more for it just because it could randomly be what you want and you want that excitement. And I have had people look me in the face and say, yes. Even though there's a chance it would be what you don't want, it is also a chance it would be what you do want. And that excitement is worth more than the physical thing.
Okay, so...
And I think that's why the legendaries are set up the way they are, and why Blizzard continues to stay with this. Because I will be honest, I have been more excited about the items I have found in this expansion than any other. That 690 headpiece, the legendaries, the whole 9 yards. Even though, yes, they're common now, it still was exciting for it to happen.
I would rather see the legendaries, all 58 of them or 2 billion of them or whatnot, not be legendary. Give us an actual legendary, something that we have to work for, and make these a new classification rather than a Diablo-style legendary, because that's what this has become.
Well, haven't they done exactly opposite of that in sorts and made the legendary something that drops randomly, but given us this artifact that we have to work towards?
Yes and no.
Because like
because
I have never went out and worked for a legendary in the past because it was not exciting to me to week after week after week after week grind and grind and grind and grind and grind to get this item to make my character more powerful. In fact, if anything, I would have turned down a legendary because you know my feelings of getting something more
but
powerful like that that increases your character.
but week after
So
week after week, you go into a raid, and week after week after week, you are now more excited to see a piece of gear that goes Titan Forged, like how excited you were when your helmet dropped, than you getting your second legendary.
now, but if that legendary would have been the one I wanted, I would have been way more excited about that legendary.
See?
The reason the second legendary I wasn't super excited about is because it was the shit-tastic ring that doesn't even really work in raids. It was more of a
Like,
PvP item. So if I was
here,
a PvPer though, I would have been super excited about that ring.
I watched a guild member this week get their second legendary before they were 110.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that was possible.
I didn't know it was possible either. Killed rare, got it. Went into a dungeon, got the other one, and I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. This
See,
is
there
stupid.
has to be something about that because it's like,
But hey, no. Legendaries, they didn't increase the drop rate or anything like that.
well, that and like I feel like once you get one, there's so much more of a chance you're going to get another one really quickly after that.
And no, because I can't get a second legendary. And
No, I'm
that
saying
is-
like yeah, like you didn't, but in some cases I feel like it has to be some kind of glitch or something because I've seen some like we saw the one person get two in the same freaking instance.
in less than an hour, right?
Yeah, like
So-
say like did like not even
This is-
finishing that instance. It was ridiculous.
This is a Diablo conundrum, is what it is, and this is the problem that I have with the legendaries. Okay, I was not happy when everybody got a ring. I was not happy when everybody got a cloak, because of the fact that I was a traditionalist in that instance, where you know what, a legendary makes you special. It does.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I don't
a rogue
disagree
running
with you.
a rogue
I don't
running
dis-
around with the warglaives was cool.
Yeah, I agree,
Now-
and I don't disagree that them making these something else besides a legendary would be a good idea. I think you're right. I think having these items that you have the chance to get that have these special use abilities and things is great. They don't have to be a legendary.
But now with the looking at the three different ways, right? Like where you had to roll that class to get that. Okay, I would still like to see something like that. But if I had to make a preference, I would prefer the cloak or the ring any day over the fact that it's too easy to get a legendary now.
Did you play a melee character back in Wrath?
Yep.
Did you do the sword quest?
For the Keldanos, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I have it on two different characters actually now.
Now seeing like that
Yeah.
quest line, doing that
It was great, and it didn't
Yeah, and,
it didn't need to be a legendary. You still needed to go and get you still could go get Shadowmourne, but I liked that. That was part of the mystique.
doing
And you
something like
saw-
that, and
Yeah.
they could set it up to where it would work for any class. Like you go do this quest line and you know or whatever, and it wouldn't have to have been like that one. Of course, was a two-handed sword, so you kind of had to be a.
Well, no, they actually did change it so that it was you could get a one-handed sword because I had it on.
Oh, that's
I
right,
had
they
it as a
did, didn't
tank.
they?
And then
Yeah,
they
for
also
warriors
had
and
it
stuff.
so they
Forgot about that.
if you were a caster, you could make a staff. So yeah, no, like that was a cool thing.
Yeah,
I
so
liked that.
Things like that would be interesting, and like even if like I said, an item dropped out of your emissary quest, and then you could go and like do a quest line to upgrade it. Because I remember going to get that hilt for that sword, like
Yeah.
we were in there farming it, trying to get it. It was a thing because it
Yeah.
was the most powerful. You know, when it first started, it was the most powerful two-hand weapon you could get.
Yes,
Um,
and it was the most
so
powerful one-handed tanking weapon for a pally at the same time. It was spectacular.
yeah,
Now,
I mean,
I would prefer
yeah, I
something.
get you. I could see stuff like that being really, really cool and adding to it, just in a way like this does.
And
So
if they're going to hand out legendaries like they were chiclets, you know, then fine. But put some sort of work behind it after to so that those people that are like choosing to go and do they don't want to go and do this quest, then fine, they don't have to. But now with the way that legendaries are, this has now become something that you need to have
now,
in order to be able to raid. And we saw that this weekend.
now, what do you think about if they did something where like the item drops, you do the quest, and then you get a random legendary out of it?
That would be okay as well.
See, I that would make me mad because I'm the type of person that if I did that quest line and I got this stupid ass ring that I got, I would be like, oh, that's it.
Well,
I'm gonna bash my computer.
this particular weekend, we saw exactly what happens when somebody doesn't have a legendary. They're sucking hind tit on the DPS chart, and the tanks are doing more damage than them. And it's to the point where you need to have an item level.
Well,
You
now
need to have
on
an
the
item level of 850 and a legendary, and all three of your artifact relics unlocked, in order for that raid team to not feel the brunt of that sort of thing.
well, but on the flip side, has it not always been like that? Has it not always been you needed to be geared at a certain level before you could enter a
Yeah, but
raid?
it's never been a situation where it is almost mandatory for you to say you need to have a legendary.
No, see, and I see. I don't feel like that's the case because I could take both of my legendaries off, and I would only lose about 10k DPS.
Yeah, but
Because
you're an elemental shaman. You're only doing 10k TPS anyways.
I
So
mean,
so this legendary thing it's overkill. This
I mean,
one
I
is
I get you,
overkill.
I do, but I also feel like on the flip side of that, like you may be putting a lot more stock into these legendaries because like we have people in our guild that have the best legendary you can possibly have for your class that are still very low on the DPS meter,
Yeah,
and
that's
we
true.
have people who have the worst legendaries or not even have a legendary that are doing very well on the DPS meter. So,
No, there's only
uh,
3 people in the guild that don't have a legendary.
yeah, I know.
We're starting to see people that are onto their third alt that have freaking legendaries.
Say, let's
I'm
say give me some legendaries on my alt, but
I am apparently an enigma right now,
now
where I only have one legendary. Um,
the third relic slot is like you're right though that is needed, but that's also like having an 850 weapon, no 830 weapon versus an 860 weapon,
oh yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean,
Something
I
like
do
that. Yeah.
make that
Once you
I have
once you
made that a
unlock that slot.
requirement, but so I honestly I think that what they're with increasing the item level on the legendaries is just a way to make it so that people are more inclined to equip a legendary versus going out and farming, your 890 helmet
Headpiece,
that
yeah.
has
And there's
your slot, your best in slot stats.
yeah.
And so they're increasing the item level so that people feel that, I've got this legendary, I should actually have it equipped. And they're making it so that people want to equip this.
They
And
should just
it's
do this like a carnival game where like I can trade 2 small legendaries for 1 medium legendary. And then 2 medium legendaries for a large legendary. And then this whole problem would be fixed and I could have
Yeah, but then you would
Not
have to
legendary.
do that during the Dark Moon Fair, and well, that only
I already
happens
had to go
that
there
only
to get
happens
my
once a
crafting
month,
stuff.
or so this legendary debacle, and it's like they're playing catch up to what they created. I want to know what the hell the thinking was.
Well, and
It's
like,
more expensive, and it's tougher to get a level 110 token, than it is to get a legendary right now.
and
Um,
well, there's also a lot of issue with like legendaries making a class. Now, I have not physically seen this, but from what I've been reading, I've read a lot of I see a lot of unholy Death Knights talking about their main legendary getting nerfed, and if their main legendary gets nerfed, it kills their entire class as far as being able to keep up with everyone else. And that, like to
see,
me,
how stupid is it that we're having this conversation in tier 1?
oh, I know, and
That's
like, well, I mean, anywhere though, like even the last tier, like if they were talking about nerfing a single item and it killing that class, or like I've heard the same thing with fire mages, that like if they nerf the fire mage wrists, that it hurts that class so much, and that I don't feel like that should even in the last tier that
right.
shouldn't be happening. We
Right.
shouldn't be nerfing a single item and it killing the entire class like that. And then again, this could be fire mages and death knights complaining about their class being killed, which means we're dropping from number one on the DPS meter to number one, but not
Well,
as
I
far.
mean,
Um, so I could be completely out in left field here. Those of you out there listening, if you play a death knight and a fire mage, please tell me, because I don't know how many times, if I don't know if you scrolled through the comments on them talking about this, but it like over and over. Death Knight and Fire Mage were like, "Oh, if you nerf our legendaries, we're screwed." Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
still, we're in tier 1.
yes, oh
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
part
Like,
that is mind blowing.
speaking of tier one, you saw how like they're considering the new raid like more or less the end of this tier, right?
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool that they lumped it all together as one tier.
yeah,
So
I like that too. Now, on Friday night we went into Trial of Valor. Uh, well, huh. So I might as well just start this one off. Wow. That first boss is a lot more difficult than I anticipated.
I mean, it's a lot harder than, than the normal mode of the current
But
raid. That's for sure.
yeah, we I think that honestly, heroic nightmare is easier than Trial of Valor, and you know what? For a raid that has only 3 bosses, I like this. I
Yeah.
actually am. I do think that Odin Phase 3 is so overtuned.
Oh,
Uh,
brutal! Like
oh,
it's not so bad until you have to cross the entire room, and then when
yeah.
you're trying to cross, and like yes, you like I've seen strats where you stack at the top corner, but even then it puts your group in such a small hole, and those tornadoes are just everywhere, and you're having to cross that entire room, and it just Jesus Christ, there's so much damage for those healers to deal with.
Oh, and on top of it, that spear can one shot a tank, and you can't do anything about it. So gotta say, it's really overtuned. I know that it's going to be satisfying when we actually are able to down it, but this is one of the few times where I actually agree with the forums. Like, maybe a little bit of a nerf might be nice. Maybe after our legendaries get increased the 15 points, they might be it might make it a little bit easier on everybody. The other thing that I've never seen them do this early on is re-look at the gear and go, huh, maybe we should increase the item level of all of the gear. So they're actually going to increase the item level that drops. by 5 item levels, which, you know, with the amount of work that actually has to go into Trial of Valor, I'm not gonna lie, that's a bonus. That's great because
I think
it's
that also
really
has, I think that also has a bearing on them changing those legendaries as well. Is because again,
yeah.
it's closing that stat gap more and more.
Yeah.
So
So hopefully we will see that and see it help because outright right now that is so overtuned that it I'm I'm 865 and I was getting rocked. Like I have never been so wrecked in a third phase. Like phase 1 and 2 are a cakewalk. Absolute entire cakewalk. And it got to the point where we stopped looking at we stopped looking at our strat and trying to change our strat because we had a solid strat. It was just you got to grab your ankles and hold on for dear life. Healers are having to pre-cast on you just to be able to keep you alive, and I'm blowing through all of my cooldowns like they were legendaries dropping out of emissary quests, and you know, like it was nuts.
I couldn't
And
imagine, and I know there's not a lot of guilds out there left that do this, but I couldn't imagine being a guild that only does normals and never running a heroic, you know,
yeah,
a night hold, and then coming into this and being like, oh, look, we're in normal gear and what we've gained from the mythics that we ran. Let's do this normal raid, and just getting
oh,
just destroyed.
they would be absolutely decimated, and
Like it's
you
I
know,
couldn't even imagine being that guild because, like I said, I know there's not a lot anymore. But back in the day, like that, like you had guilds that ran heroics and you had guilds that ran regulars, and a lot of them didn't mess with the higher end. And I'm sure there are still those that exist out there now, and they just want to see the content. And they do the normal, and here they come to the normal of this, and it's just like a giant just wall, like you're just punched in the face.
yeah. Yeah,
So
it is really that overtuned right now. And now I don't want them to nerf it. I don't. I would like to I want to see what happens here with the changes to the belly button lint, and go from there because honestly, if they nerf it right now, it might make it too easy. And it is challenging, like
yeah, we need
legitimately
something to
challenging.
tie us over. Like we
Yeah,
got to think we're what the next patch is supposed to be January, right? Well, not the next patch, but the
yeah,
next raid is January. So
yeah.
we've
Mid
got
to
two
late
months.
January. Yeah.
So
So
we need something to do for the next 8 to 9, 10 weeks. So this is keeping this difficult for people is probably not a bad idea.
yeah,
So
yeah. Like, okay, which brings us to and thank you. That was really well done for a shitty segue. Mr. Hazzikostas went ahead and told us exactly when, well, give or take, exactly when patch 7.2 is going to drop. It is targeted to open, and I like this. I like this because he even said we are trying to get it, and not it will be, and then find out in mid to late January that it wasn't quite 100% finished. That's when we're getting Nighthold, and that's when we're getting 7.2. And when we get 7.2, what was supposed to be a part of it was the Tomb of Sargeras. They're going to drop 7.2. They're going to drop Nighthold as a raid, and then they're going to hold off on dropping in Tomb of Sargeras and let us go through that and start working working on Tomb of Sargeras later on.
yeah, there will even be a quest line that they're saying is going to work towards that.
Yeah.
Kind of like or I felt like at least from this that it's kind of like a pre-expansion almost like quest line event
Yeah.
of sorts, where it's going to be a quest line that leads up to that, and then it comes out. And they even came out and said Hellfire Citadel was too soon, was too early, and I 100% agree with them. Like, dropping those two raids so close together was a terrible idea, and I'm glad that they realized that it was.
Yeah. And that once again, and I hate to dwell on this. This is part of the reason why I'm loving this whole idea of open communication. That it's not just, hey, guess what? We've decided that we're going to drop this and this right now. We're going to leave you guys out in the dark. We're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about this. Or we get 7.2 with the expectation that the Tomb of Sargeras is going to drop that day. And then a week and a half into 7.2, they then say, "Yeah, we're gonna be giving you a flight in a few weeks, not months, but a few weeks." And a few weeks passes, and then a few more weeks passes, and somebody takes to Twitter and says, "Tomb of Sargeras will be soon. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about it." And you feel like you feel let down because of the fact that there wasn't that clairvoyant version of the truth. And I like this idea. I absolutely like this idea that they're spacing the content out in these patches, and they're spacing it out properly.
And I
Because
mean, yeah, so even if you get bored with something for a minute, you're only bored with it for a minute, because I mean, there's still going to be times of boredom, and they've said before they drop so much at once to give people lots and lots to do, but I'd rather be bored for 3 weeks because I did something that I was supposed to do over 4 weeks in 1 week, rather than being bored for 6 months because I did something that was supposed to last 6 months in 2 months.
yeah,
Like I like this as well. Like, even if I am bored, I'm going to be bored in shorter durations, and
yeah.
that is a good thing in my opinion.
It really is. Like the whole idea of spacing it out is really a nice idea. And it is a welcome
I
change.
can, like right now, I'm somewhat bored on my elemental shaman, so I've leveled I finished leveling my paladin, and I've kind of been tanking some things, and I have something else to do. I can't spend 6 months leveling characters and trying to find things to do. I can spend a month or two, but you stick me in a 6 month dead space, and I'm just gonna be like, nah, I can't
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah, I hear Final Fantasy is picking up steam, and that's kind of that's kind of that whole thinking. Now, for those of you guys that followed us when we were on the Quest Gaming Network, and our old show Warcraft Off the Record, you know how jaded and angry I was and stuff like that. So this whole new idea that they're doing now is making it so that I'm not so angry and jaded, and I love it. I really do. I am more angry about the fact that everybody can have a legendary as long as you pick herbs. And yes, I know that it's not as dramatic as you can get a legendary by picking herbs, but it feels that way.
I mean,
So
like we had a guild member who was not doing their emissary quests, um, and like not turning them in because he did not realize that you could get a legendary from it. And the moment someone told him you can get a legendary from it, he's like, "Son of a bitch!"
and he walked over, he turned in 2 emissary quests and
And
got
got a
his
freaking
legendary.
yeah.
I'm like, at this point, I'm still starting to think that turning in emissary quests and getting a legendary might be a myth, like the clitoris in South Park. I don't, because I haven't seen one yet. But my wife got one. Everybody else is getting them from them, and
I got one.
I'm still stuck at one legendary. Yay!
The one I got from emissary, quite honestly, was awful. But now they're jacking it up 15 item levels. It
Yeah.
might be worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, Tomb of Sargeras is going to be spectacular, and I gotta say, because they're not giving a lot of info as to what it's going to be. Is it going to be a raid? Is it not going to be a raid? Is it just going to be a whole bunch of new dungeons that we're going to get? Just a quest line. I like that idea. I like that mystique behind it. I know that there's a lot of people that are not happy about that. They want to know all of the information. But I like it with.
Well, I feel like we'll get that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll
get that eventually. Like this, to me, this is a lot of information really early that I didn't expect. So,
I know.
I've seen that too, though. Like people complaining that they want more, and I'm like, I get it. Everybody always wants more, but I'm kind of happy with what we're getting now. So, again, give Ion Hazzikostas another pat on the back. Keep it up, man. Like this is good. This is really good. Like keep coming at us with this information the way that you are. It's fantastic.
Okay, Mr. Hazzikostas, I've got a request. Can you do something stupid? So that way we don't have to just continue praising.
But that's the thing. I feel like even if he did something stupid at this point, it's kind of like Marvel and their movie making. It would still just end up coming out like shining. Somehow something stupid would happen from someone else, and we would be like, "Wow, Ion Hazzikostas did something stupid, and it wasn't even as stupid as this other guy."
Wait a minute. Imagine if he came on Twitch, and he's sitting there with Josh Allen, and the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, "Guys, we're gonna try this time walking timeless aisle." See, I gotcha.
Then somebody else would be like, "No, instead, we're gonna make Archimon the final boss of this expansion again," and it would be like, "Oh, timeless aisle's not so bad after all."
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I hate to say it. You kind of got me.
I mean, like there's worse things in this world than timeless aisle. Oh man.
Yeah.
Like elemental shamans. Much worse than timeless isle.
What about an all pet battle raid?
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
Yeah,
that'd be like Pokemon on steroids, son.
30 man raid where you all have to pull out your three pets, and you have to take
90 pet raid here.
Oh man, that would take like forever, because full well there would be a guy that still didn't have DBM to know when to hit his spider ichor. They touched on the Cure Torn quests, and why there aren't a lot of Cure Torn quests. They just weren't popping properly, so I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, at first they were popping too quickly, they said, and then they changed it, and now it's not popping
at all.
Enough, so.
I haven't really seen them.
Yeah, it's kind of now. See, because here's my question with that: wasn't there a Cure and Tor emissary quest?
Yeah.
Before,
yeah.
So I haven't seen that emissary quest either.
Yeah.
Which means if I do get the emissary quest, am I going to have enough Cure and Tor quests on my map to fill the emissary? Because
no.
I had
it's the same thing that I had a couple of days ago where
with Suramar.
Yeah.
I only had 3 quests that I could do in Suramar, and that entire 48 hours, I was never able to complete my emissary because I never had 4 quests to complete.
Yeah, my problem was I did a couple of the world quests ahead of my emissary, and I basically hooped myself there. And
I didn't even think about that. I went and did. I think there was 2 quests for an item, so I went ahead and did them, hoping they would proc and upgrade.
Yeah.
And then was like, okay, and then I didn't mess around in Suramar. Then my emissary came around, and I was like, oh shit, I can't do my emissary quest now.
Well, there was a way to do it, but you actually had to do withered training 2 days in a row.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I got
you. But legitimately, I mean, it's still kind of a little off there. It's a little
or people who haven't done, because I didn't even do withered training until very recently. Like I had not been doing it. I didn't even know it existed, and my wife was like, "Hey, have you done this? Because I just got a pretty good epic out of this chest." And I was like, "No, I don't even know what you're doing." And then I went down there and did the quest line and was like, "Holy crap, this is kind of cool."
So
Again, it's back to that, like, there's so much to do in this expansion that sometimes I find myself going, I didn't even know that existed. Like, that's really cool. There's stuff I still don't know was there.
yeah, no, it's kind of there. So I mean, other things got talked about during this interview, and
No battlegrounds again.
Yeah.
They nixed that idea once again for this expansion. There are some people very upset about that. I keep hearing people scream 4 years with no battlegrounds, which, I mean, there's a lot of battlegrounds to be queued for currently. So
we need to get off of that whole idea of 4 years without a battleground, because 4 years can be a lifetime for some people. And maybe they just made the wrong choice.
Moving
needless
on
to say, so meanwhile, back at the ranch.
Or maybe they made the right choice. We're not taking a side in this.
No, we're not going to take a side. Not at all. Not at all. They were talking about, they decided to talk about teleporting in Mythic Plus dungeons. So, I am gonna say, hate to say it, but no, don't put in teleporters, unless of course the timer has expired. You die, that was your own damn fucking fault.
Yeah. No, when
and
I agree. Like, you have to run back, and trust me, being an elemental shaman and having a good friend that's also an elemental shaman, and Darrick was involved in these runs as well. Getting started in this expansion was not the most fun thing, but we ran back every damn time.
Yep.
So, yes, I agree. And now, something that someone else brought up about that, though, just to throw it out there and see what you think, not that it was brought up in this, but something I was reading, somebody said that you should be able to use your keystone to teleport your group to the instance.
Yes. You know what? That one I would stand behind.
That would be a really... I never thought about that, but, like, you form your 5-man group, and then you right-click on it, and it teleports you there rather than you have to run there. I thought, like, that was really cool. Like, I thought that was a good idea.
That is a really good idea, and that should be a thing. So that, that way you get there faster. This is a good use of have group will travel. People like me can't abuse it like I did. And so that would make things a lot easier and speed things up, because you'll always get that one person who is, getting into the group, and they're all getting ready as everybody's getting all ready, and they don't take their summons because of the fact that they were finishing off a quest and blah, 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 and you sit around and you wait. Or a situation where your tank flies over to the Eye of Azura on that, island over there, and everybody else knows that the instance level is over in Azuna.
Legitimately, you were standing in Eye of Azura, so we really couldn't give you that much shit.
Yeah,
because you were there.
Yeah, I was, and I legitimately thought I could run through the instance entrance, leaving it, and then turn around and walk right back in. Like, in my defense, that's what I did, but no. So doing it that way would speed up the process of getting the dungeon started. But don't, for the love of Christ, don't put a teleporter in to the dungeon. It would be helpful, but it would take away from the whole idea. It's a time run.
If anything, just make it where, because there are certain points in each instance where when you die, you'll spawn back at a boss, not the last boss. Just make it each boss if you really wanted to do anything. make you spawn at the previous boss, because at least then you're doing your run of shame, which you should be doing because you freaking died.
Yeah.
Just maybe not as far if they're worried about how far you're having to run.
Yeah, exactly. I would support that versus putting a teleporter in there and like I kind of it's kind of like rewarding people for dying.
For dying, yeah, and that's exactly when I was reading this. I was like, where did this even come from? Like again, though, we've talked about the millennials in the past, and they're entitled to this. I'm entitled to a teleporter to get me back to that boss I got killed by.
Yeah,
I want it right now.
And I looked at that and I laughed hysterically. Okay. Now this is where I kind of went with it, because I look at things slightly differently than the average person. This person that started this entire thread is complaining that they died and had to run 90 seconds.
Yeah, they said the acceptable running time was 90 seconds, and I was like,
I was like, okay, so you're making an excuse over top of the fact that this is troubling. This is troubling. I have to run 90 seconds. I'm leaving my group for 90 seconds because of the fact that I died. I just died. And I have to run back 90 seconds or my group is my group is going to be harmed by the fact that I had to run back 90 seconds. But the fact is, you freaking died. It was your fault that you died. Is that always the case? No. But in a lot of instances now, like, come on, give your head a shake. You died. You should have to walk.
Yeah,
back.
Again, this isn't us sitting here as like some kind of elitist saying don't die in a dungeon.
I've done
Trust me.
I've died.
Trust me. We have died many times.
Oh yeah.
In the dungeon.
Never once have I thought, Jesus.
We have been like 7 pulls into a dungeon and been like, yeah, we're not getting this timer.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, trust me, we have
legitimately
died.
Yeah. So it's not even like a situation where it's like, we probably would have beat this dungeon if we had died and had a teleporter. That would have made life a lot easier.
We would have had a teleport.
No, the actual context of the conversation needs to be, shit, I shouldn't have died. I am running back. Shit, I'm sorry.
I'm probably going to take at least 86 seconds to run back. I am on my way.
I shouldn't have broke that CC there, and oh god. The one thing though that I would like to actually see happen is some sort of a mechanic that makes it so that if somebody leaves your timed group, that you can still actually continue. Bringing somebody else in, you can't do because of the way that the lockout works. But if they were to say, like, somebody leaves, and it would add, like, say, 2 minutes or a minute on and allow you to continue, and it just kind of nerfs things a little bit, that'd be cool. I would like that.
And I get that it's to keep people from kicking someone out and then, like, joining a guildie into it later in the run. If a guildie were to log on, I get that. But that doesn't change the other side of it, where if you pick up a pug and they decide to be an ass halfway through,
you get a demon
end up
hunter
finishing it as a 4-man, because we have done that.
This is my favorite story to tell, and welcome to Story Time with Darrick Scott. So we were in this dungeon, and I don't think you were there actually. And we had this demon hunter who would, I don't even know what he was thinking, but he's like, I'm a demon hunter. All of my stuff, all of my abilities are AoE. You're not pulling fast enough. So he pulled this entire room, and we wiped. And he's like, this is fucking stupid. You're a horrible tank. You should be able to hold all of this. And he left. And I'm just like, you pulled an entire room in Mythic Plus. You are stupid. No tank out there at our item level should be able to hold all of this. It's a Mythic Plus, you weenie. But yeah, no. If that was you and you happen to be listening to this, you may not want to comment in the the comments down below.
I kind of hope somebody does now.
Yeah.
Just so I can see this unfold. That would be great.
Like, hi, my name's Johnny Keyboard Turner, and I was that guy. Ha ha! Yeah, I ruined you guys' entire night. Yeah. So yeah, but those are the sorts of things that I would like to see changed.
See, that's the wonderful thing about being a paladin. Because when you have some hunter that's misdirecting you and pulling, and you see him cast misdirect on you, and you're like, oh, really? Bubble.
Yeah.
Just watch them eat him. It's so much fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
So, all right, Poke. Well, you know what? We're running out of time. So why don't you tell people how they can get in touch with us?
I can do that. If you guys want to get in touch with us as a whole, you can hit us up at KOD Gaming 1 on Twitter. Go ahead.
You can get in touch with me at Darrick_Scott.
And you can get in touch with me at PokeSoul. Also, keep in mind, guys, please comment on the YouTube. We love having conversations on there. And yes, even though people have been doing it fairly often, it has not been happening as much as we would like to see it. So please comment on YouTube. Email us at knightsofdeathbridge@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/knightsofdeathbridge. Any of those places, please, we want your feedback. We want to know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Anything. Like, it literally, any little tiny thing is game changing for us at this point. We're trying to make things more fun and enjoyable. We're trying to make things more informative. We're trying to make sure that everything is not good and or bad. We're trying to add explanations to what we say. And all of this has come from people telling us,
yep,
that's what we need to do. So keep telling us what we need to do, please.
So, one of the most common comments that we have gotten as of recently, and I actually was going to comment in the in each of them and stuff like that, but I thought I would do it live. Actually, we will be going back to doing podcasting in January. Okay, we are going to make everything available on SoundCloud. Honestly, I want people to understand that the whole reason why we stopped using SoundCloud was not because of SoundCloud, not because of anything other than this particular fact. I did not like the way that we were sounding on that podcast. And we wanted it to be more of an actual podcast rather than just a talk show. So we're going to be reformatting how we do that particular medium, and not because of the fact that we were abandoning it or anything like that. If we're going to do something, we're going to do it as well as we possibly can, and we want you guys to be able to hear us in the best possible light that we possibly can. So that's the actual answer. It's not that we just are lazy and don't want to upload. I did not like the way that it sounded. So, Poke, do you got anything you want to say before I pick a random?
Well, two things real quick about this week that I know that we did not cover, but were mentioned just so people know that we knew they were there. But we're kind of side notes. One, they are changing classes. There wasn't enough information there for us to cover it in a whole, but don't think that they are ignoring the fact that your classes are weak. And then two, They are also changing secondary stats for classes like fire mages that have a secondary stat that are more important than your main stat. They feel like that's ignorant, and they know that it's ignorant, and they're going to fix it.
Well, you kind of are giving people the preview of what next week is.
I mean, you feel like there was enough information for us to have a whole show over that?
Not quite fully yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm
So that's
expecting
why I was
more
just going to
info
throw it
later
out there.
on.
Oh well, and if so, yes. Just I didn't want people to go away from this because again, there will be people who don't read this Q&A and only listen to a podcast to get that information.
Yeah, that's true.
And just to throw the basic out there, they know there's a problem and they are working towards a fix. There's just nothing solid, concrete in the working yet.
Yeah. So, jeez, gotta pick a random product. I know. Let's go with LG TVs. With the way that the election worked, I'm imagining that a lot of people are no longer in and having remote controls as they threw them against the wall for good reasons or bad reasons. They were happy that they have a new president, or mad that the president that they didn't want got elected. And well, now you can actually get the LG TV smart TV in crystal clear 4K projection. So guys, head on over to lg/tv.com and take a look. Make sure you put in the code Fallout off the record, and you will get 90% off your entire order. So guys, head on over and make sure that we say hello. There you go, Poke.
That was pretty good.
Actually, it wasn't it?
We're totally gonna get season to
I know, right? Like I'm waiting for it.
I'm
waiting for it. Well, I think that one of these weeks I'm just gonna do a Disney, because I know Disney is all over advertising and stuff like that. So if I do a Disney reference, I think we could get a cease and desist order. I think that would be kind of fun.
You're at this point now trying to get one, aren't you?
Kinda, yeah. Kinda, actually, yeah. I'm not sure if you're actually aware, but Knights of Deathbridge Gaming is no longer monetized because the fact that I don't know if it's our massive 120 views that we're getting and like somebody's botting us, or if it's from these random ads, because it didn't occur to me that that could be why we got a copyright infringement order. We're no longer allowed to use AdSense right now. So I don't know. I really honestly don't know. But if we get a cease and desist order, I'm going to put it right up in the center, going, yep, they're listening to us. Ha ha! Got them. So I'm going to put you on the spot for next week. You're the one that's going to do the random ad.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll work this out. I got this.
Yeah. So the rules to these are honestly, you can't pre-write them. You have to make them up on the spot. And see how well you do. It's like, I'm not copying any of the commercials that are on TV or reading taglines or anything like that. I'm just making them up on the spot. So you're the one that's going to do it next week. You got an entire week to think about what you're going to do. Just saying, just throwing that out there.
All right, we'll see.
Alrighty. Well, anyways, guys. So, Poke, do you got anything else you want to say before we sign out?
Same thing as every week. Keep listening, guys. Keep telling us what we can do better, and we appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. And if it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. We'd be just two crazy guys talking to each other for an hour and a half about World of Warcraft and recording it and just not putting it anywhere. Seems kind of sad when I put it that way. So, thank you. Anyways, guys, this has been Warcraft Nightly News. We are a Knights at Deathbridge production, and I would like to thank you all very much for tuning in for 800 episodes. I'm Darrick Scott.
And I'm Poke.
And remember, kids, it's all fun and games until you lose an election. Then you have a million-man march, and you put an entire focal on everything. And you could quite possibly start a civil war in your own country, and that's going to be weird. However, you guys have a wonderful week.